If you are a citizen of one of these countries or any other country and you are interested in moving to a new one, come to the United States of America. We would love if you became a U.S. citizen. We will respect the place you come from, your beliefs, your interests, and your ideas.
If you come to America and help us rebuild ourselves and move past these rough times, we guarantee that sometime in the future America will and can help your country in multiple times. Some of our rough times include the KKK, de facto segregation, the Republican and Democratic Review. The Ku Klux Klan, commonly called the KKK or the Klan, is an American white extremist hate group who primarily targets African Americans. The KKK is an extremist group that is founded during December of 1865. It is an anti-immigration, white nationalism, and anti-Catholic group. They made 3 groups at 1865 through 1946 till they were stopped by the U.S. government. Members vary through 3 million and 6 million people. The first, second, and third clans are against different topics. Topics like anti-communism, anti-LGBTQ, and neo-Confederate, and more.
But the KKK isn't the only problem America dealt with. America also dealt with different forms of segregation. De jure segregation is caused by government actions. The law allowed for separate facilities for both black and white people because the facilities were considered to be equal. De jure segregation mostly stayed in the southern states until Supreme Court outlawed it in 1954, after saying separate facilities for black and white people can't be equal. De facto segregation is caused by an individual's racist or biased actions. It was mostly formed from de jure segregation, but Supreme Court says that de facto segregation can't be altered because it is caused by people's accidents or choices. For example, it affects housing patterns, population movements, and economic conditions from the result of government policies.
Segregation might be one view that separates the Southern Democrats and the Radical Republicans. But furthermore, Radical Republicans versus Southern Democrats was a debate for rights for the African Americans. The Republicans thought that African Americans were entitled to the same political rights and opportunities as whites. On the other hand, the Southern side, they didn't think that the African Americans had the same rights and opportunities as whites. The division was solved in 1877, solved due to the Bill of Rights, which states that African Americans have the same rights and opportunities as whites.
As seen by the assassination of our president, an entire 5% of our people don't like America's government and would rather see us fighting than restoring the peace. Don't be like those murderers and felons. Become part of the 95% and help to innovate and grow USA today. Our president's assassination was a tragedy to us all. On April 15th of 1865, President Abraham Lincoln was shot and killed by John Wilkes Booth. Booth believed that he would be able to throw the government into chaos by striking it where it would hurt. While the war was beginning to come to an end, Booth devised a plan in which Lincoln would be kidnapped. This plan never came into place since Lincoln didn't end up appearing at the spot the kidnapping would take place. Though, when Lincoln came during the performance at Ford's Theater, Booth succeeded in his plans, slipping into Lincoln's box. And while our country mourned, Booth was reprimanded for his crimes. His plan unsuccessful, our government didn't fall. America remained strong despite all of the hardships that came from Booth's decision.
After the terrible event of the assassination of our president, we went into the Reconstruction era. Along with this came many differences in the North and in the South. After the Civil War ended in 1865, the southern states were allowed to rebuild themselves. With this power, the new states' legislators passed the Black Codes. These codes controlled the labor and behavior of former slaves and African Americans. The North did not like this because they were just fighting to end slavery, so they supported for presidential reconstruction, or impeachment of the president. This helped pass the Freedmen's Bureau and the Civil Rights Bills. These helped blacks get equal protection and rights and also gain a voice in government for the first time. Next, the North decided to pass the Reconstruction Act. This divided the South into 5 military districts. With Republican ideas controlling the government, the black population in the South after 1867 had skyrocketed. By 1870, all of the southern states admitted to the Union.
The people of the North and the South were able to live together in the South because of Reconstruction. These people were all part of the Republican political party and had the same ideals. The native Southerners, scalawags, helped out with Reconstruction by keeping the peace and being tolerant towards the Northerners. On the other hand, carpetbaggers are the Northerners that chose to move down south during Reconstruction after Civil War took place. While it is believed that most carpetbaggers moved to the South for their own personal and financial gain, some carpetbaggers worked alongside scalawags to help freed slaves rebuild their lives, thus improving the economy.
Throughout the reconstruction of this country, we had so many great ideas to make our country better for everyone. But we could use your ideas that you thought would improve your country. We'll actually take them instead of ignoring them like your country does. But you better get here fast, because sooner than later, someone else might suggest an idea that would counteract your idea.
Some of our ideas during Reconstruction include President Johnson's plan for Reconstruction, the Compromise of 1877, the Freedmen's Bureau, and the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. The plan was originally from Abraham Lincoln, but after he was assassinated, the plan moved on to Johnson. The main idea of the plan was to offer immensity to all the former citizens from the Confederacy besides the wealthy and the Confederate officials. Johnson did not change the plan so that he could continue Abraham's work. The Republicans were outraged when they heard about this plan. Their anger went further when they heard about the Southern state legislature passed a series of black codes limited to American African rights.
We also came up with the Great Compromise of 1877. The Great Betrayal was a compromise that was resolved in 1876 during the presidential election. The presidential election was between Democratic candidate Samuel Tilden and Republican candidate Rutherford B. Hayes. The side that lost this compromise was the Southern Democrats.
The Freedmen's Bureau was originally called the Bureau of Refugees. The idea was for Congress to help out any black slaves or poor whites to get better jobs and have a home for them because of the aftermath of the Civil War. When women were divorced or abandoned by their husbands, they can turn to the Bureau to assist them as much as they can. The Bureau helped these women to find homes, file a divorce if they think their husband is cheating. This can be the same with men. The Bureau helped American citizens live the American dream and have the freedom like they should have gotten when they came to USA.
But one of the best ideas we've had was to make the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. As the issue of slavery arose, we needed a plan to stop it. Our president, Abraham Lincoln, decided to abolish slavery once and for all by creating the 13th Amendment in 1865. The 13th Amendment stated that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. This amendment made sure that slavery was unacceptable. In 1868, the 14th Amendment was ratified, granting citizenship to the freed slaves. The 14th Amendment allowed them equal protection under the law, protecting their rights. Finally, in 1869, the 15th Amendment was passed. Along with equal rights and slavery abolished once and for all, African American men were given voting rights. Each of these amendments show that our country values and respects our citizens, no matter what. In America, you can expect equal rights and the right to vote.
So come over to the United States of America. We will accept you for who you are and what makes up you. We have so many different opportunities for everyone. Become an American citizen today.